Reddit, how do you feel about women being able to be topless anywhere a man can be topless? You bet we did. She lived down the street from a friend of mine, so whenever I was in the area I would glance over that way just in case. 12 and 13-year-old boys in the 90s didn't think about things like harassment, maybe they still don't, so we were definitely dicks about it. By the way, if you're planning to rob Japan, please give me a heads up so I can secure my valuables. I mean, what beats hanging in front of Hot Cookie in the Castro on a brisk Sunday afternoon? I sure do miss my gay friends who wear their Crocs that match their dick capes, the tiny flap of unsecured fabric freely flapping in the wind. I also equally miss people tripping on all kinds of shit and rolling around in Dolores. Sadly, all the fun folks have left, only the rich remain. San Francisco actually banned all public nudity in 2012, as some quality of life legislation that is generally associated with gentrification. There was a lot of pushback from lifelong residents and a handful of activists, for example Gypsy Taub, centered around long-standing traditions like the Pride Parade and Beta Breakers. So there is now a blanket exemption to the ban for any gathering with an event permit. I think it's less a legal thing in most places and more a sexualization thing. People are rude most places and men over sexuality, the female body, no matter what, even if they're covered. So you think it's mostly a gear thing cause it's not normalized. In the UK though it's a legal thing. I'm from there and I'm pretty sure it's illegal. It's legal lots of places, but nobody really does it outside of beaches. The reasons why are pretty obvious from reading this thread. Women will get either harassed and stared at or comments like "Huck, I didn't want to see you topless." It always becomes about the attractiveness of the woman involved and she doesn't win either way. And I mean, I get it, it's legal to wear a bikini most places as well. But people don't. Social norms are a much stronger taboo than laws here. It might change, but if it does it will be slow and over time. Personally, I really don't see why I'd want to, again, except maybe at the beach when I'm lounging. It doesn't sound comfortable at all. I mean, I'm a dude and I don't wanna walk around topless for fear of being judged for my middle-aged body. I can only imagine women feel 10x worse knowing that they are being objectified, sexualized and judged all at once. There absolutely should be no laws against it though. If men can do it, women should be allowed to. We need to get over these ridiculous stigma double standards. I'm a man, so my opinion definitely doesn't mean much, but I agree, if it were me I'd probably never take advantage of it because I wouldn't want others staring at my boobs. This exactly. It's fine that it's legal, but breasts are still so sexualized that people are going to be making it a huge deal. Plus, comparing them to other breasts, and a lot of women, myself included big time, are self-conscious about their own already. I don't need to have everyone staring and comparing. I am a straight male, and I will willfully admit that I would get a lot of boners and possibly even tug one out later on occasion. Because boobs are currently taboo and heavily sexualized, so many of us would get so many boners, but eventually we would get used to it, and once normalized, we would react to it no differently than a woman into pecs. Topless 36-year-old Natural D's brunette stripper walks by. Nice, that chick is built. And continue on your way boner-free after admiring the physique of that person in one of the groups of people you would bang. Women should go topless as freely as men do, just be prepared for a lot of breaches everywhere for the first decade or so. Gotta start somewhere though. More than anything, I worry that people will think I'm sexualizing them when I'm not. I sexualize breasts in sexual contexts, mostly during sex. As an example, I, 33, am Was at a parenting thing, a sort of circle time for babies, with my wife and infant son when one of the moms who was talking to the group pulled out her breast to feed her baby. I totally support her right to feed her child without demanding any archaic modesty measures, and I'm not sexualizing her, but the action of removing her breast from her top caught my eye as we were talking. I quickly resumed eye contact, as I'm listening to her talk. Internally I'm worrying, oh God, does she think I was gawking? I'm sure she didn't expect me to turn away. She was mid-sentence. She doesn't think I'm a creep now, does she? Logically, I know if she's comfortable enough to breastfeed in the open in mixed company, she's probably understanding enough to not assuming I'm gawking just because I'm a man in line of sight. But it still freaks me out a little. I've been in other similar situations and had the same kind of thoughts. I know 99% of the time, I'm just overreacting internally. Also, if a breastfeeding mom is clearly making a point of finding privacy to feed, I obviously do my best to respect that and will apologize, as casually as I can, if I accidentally intrude. I guess these are just the awkward little growing pains that come with normalizing breastfeeding. Smile. The people replying to this are failing to understand context. Not getting aroused every time you see a random woman at the beach is not a bad thing. Seeing a woman in private take her top off in a sexual context won't be less exciting just because women are casually topless in certain places. I'm into men. I don't really notice when guys are shirtless at the beach or the pool or whatever, but if I'm alone with a guy it's different. The excitement isn't magically gone. The reasoning behind my comment should confirm yours. I was raised in a very prude and conservative household. Nudity was shamed, and for me is thusly taboo and sexual, even in non-sexual situations. I had friends growing up where casual nudity around the house was not a big deal, and they are so much more well-adjusted on the subject. Honestly, I don't really care about non-sexual nudity, much less toplessness, in acceptable recreation areas where cleanliness or safety, hospitals, restaurants etc., isn't a concern. I wish it were more like parts of Europe where nobody is gonna freak out if you go skinny dipping or sunbathe or whatever at the beach. It's a silly, outdated puritanical notion. But then again, we have a lot of messed up people in our society. Probably wouldn't be safe for many. I think it's interesting to see several people mention how hard it'd be for them to not sexualize this, whilst not acknowledging that topless guys are clearly sexualized by many people currently. You can argue that it's only sexualized when the man is attracted, but I feel the same would be true with the roles reversed. The issue here isn't that we would sexualize it. The issue is that we're pretending like we haven't already accepted the sexualization of being topless when the roles are reversed. I also think it's odd people are blaming men for over-sexualizing boobs, but I'm a bi-female, and if I see a hot chick and do a double take, whether people like it or not, humans are pervs and are gonna look. I don't see why that's bad or wrong, it's just how attraction works. I'm not saying grope people or stare for 10 minutes, but also you're kinda half naked, what do you expect? People stare at my boobs sometimes cause I have DDs, but I don't care until they try and grab me. Interesting take. I agree. I don't think many people would sexualize my topless body in its current state. Same way that if I saw some saggy old boobs I would probably be averting my gaze. However, nice pecs and perky boobs are something that catches attention. I'm a straight guy, but I will still admire the work it takes to get some awesome pecs. I don't think you have to put in work to get awesome boobs though. Just genetics. Either way, our eyes are drawn to what is attractive. That would be awesome, but it would be very hard not to sexualize it. It would take an amount of time to become something normal as it is for men to be shirtless. In the end, women's breasts are the same as men's, just with more fat. That's something natural if you think that it's needed for breastfeeding. So yeah, I can't understand why they became such a sexualized organ from the beginning. I'm going to be really honest with you. Your personal experience might differ depending on country and culture, though. It is not as common for men to be topless out in public. Hell, women are significantly more naked in public than men are. On beaches here it is legal for women to be topless. It's just not in our culture. Once you're off the beach though, you need to wear clothes, both sexes. I have a question, cause this has been a debated topic for me before. Is being attracted to and sexualizing the same thing? A woman can go topless in public and it doesn't bother me. I would obviously act in a respectful manner, etc. But I don't think I could help myself from being attracted to them. My ex would talk about how they hated the sexualization of breasts, and we argued because those are the only things I am attracted to, and I felt bad, like I had to suppress that. I don't think being shirtless in public should be allowed regardless of biological sex. I'm sure I'll be labeled as a prude, and that's fine. I'm just here to weigh in on a discussion by sharing my thoughts without trying to tell anyone else that they should agree with them. My thinking is as follows. 1. In the place where I live, broadly, the Western world, society has sexualized female breasts, which is a discussion for another time. 2. Public displays of nudity should not be encouraged. 3a. Although not prevalent to the same magnitude or commonality, there are people who feel the same way when presented with an exposed male chest that most people do when presented with an exposed female chest. 3b. Requiring women to cover their chest but not men is definitively discrimination. Therefore, put a shirt on. Exception: breastfeeding women should always be presented with an opportunity to, but not required to, have privacy of their body. In Ontario there was a woman who went topless. It's legal, and a dude touched her breasts. He was charged with sexual assault and it was reduced to simple assault because that's how a male being touched on the chest would have been handled. Equality, I guess. I never understood prohibiting women's breasts in public, but being totally fine with men's. Men's breasts serve no other purpose except to be sexual, as most men's nipples are highly erogenous, so we're okay with displaying a completely sexual body part on men, but not women, whose breasts at least have a second, primary, function. I believe boobs are sexualized because we don't see enough of them. In the 20s women weren't allowed to show their knees because that was not what decent women do. Nowadays we just see a knee and, unless there's something abnormal, we just see it without reacting in any way, and every day we see tons of knees without any issue. From 0 to 2-3 years of age most humans think of boobs as food providing body parts and a way our mother provide love. We learn to sexualize boobs as we grow up because we are told to sexualize boobs, usually by older family members that A. try to hide boobs implying sexual reason, B. wants to pay attention to boobs for sexual reason. It might take some time as we need this behavior to die, and this kind of thing dies with the people that behaves that way. I don't feel anything at all about it. I'm a dude, I'm in relatively good shape, I don't have washboard ABS but they are visible. I still don't feel good enough to run around in public without a shirt on unless the context is there. If you want your tits bouncing around while you're running to the park, whatever, it's not my burden to bear, or pain to tolerate. What I don't like is male or female, being topless or relatively topless and sitting their sweaty swamp backs on chairs and not wiping them down when leaving. As such, I am a fan of no shirt, no shoes, no service. I'll start. I'm kind of torn. I think eventually we could get to a place where breasts are not sexualized, but we are not there yet. Men kind of all develop pretty much the same aside from some being a bit more muscular than others in their formative years. Their backs are not that sexualized and are pretty much the same unless you are putting in time at the gym. Women are just a bit different. Most women I talk to don't want to be topless and are fine covering up. However, I do think they should be able to be topless anywhere a man can be topless. That's simply discrimination if it's not allowed. I know most people wouldn't want to see it, but if I were to buy a bikini thong and wear just that to the beach, I would probably get the cops called on me. I think there is a middle ground, but I also think we need to come a long way as a society and stop sexualizing breasts so much. Just do it already if you want. It's not really that different from seeing a good-looking woman fully clothed. Men will look, yes, but they would have done it anyway. Sexiness is heavily influenced by context. It's nothing special if normalized in a neutral setting. I wouldn't mind at all. It's the same as watching a movie that may have topless people, and sometimes bottomless people, which really doesn't bother me. If anything, I'll go whoa, they naked, as a joke to my fiancé. For example, we just watched Midsommar. Crazy stuff. My only worry is the safety of these topless people. The world can be real shitty. The only reason they can't be shown is because of practical reasons for holding them in, and also some sort of societal agreement that because of the first point they just shouldn't be shown. So until being loose and hanging out isn't a problem, they are likely to stay hidden. Although if we make it normal, people will stop caring and for the most part stop sexualizing them. It's legal in most places here but no one does it. I really wish people would, because sometimes it's hot and I would love to just not wear a shirt. I'm not going to be the first, but if it was all of a sudden socially acceptable I would be so down. And if people sexualize it in their head, as long as I don't hear about it, I really would not care. Honestly, it only takes being exposed to non-sexual nudity a few times before you really get over the titillation of it all. It's just a weird obsession with puritanical nonsense that makes it an issue in the first place. So yeah, I'm 100% for people wearing, or not wearing, whatever clothes they are comfortable with. I don't mind. I'm a gal and come from a family of women. To me, booba are just boobs. I regularly ran around with them near exposed frequently, and the cool thing is it didn't make a difference to anyone I knew or cared to know. I've had a few moments where I'm in a crop top coming downstairs and realize anyone going up will see my tits, and lo and behold everyone is normal about it and goes on their way. If they're in my age group, early 20s, typically they'll smile and nod at me as we go. If someone is going to ogle my body they'll do it regardless of what they can see. I've had grown-ass men stare unblinking at my ass in jeans, in coveralls, in sweats, remark on my body while dressed in layers for winter etc. Some even while standing with their own families. The clothing on or off won't stop someone from behaving inappropriately. They'll do it regardless of what's worn. As long as bottoms are on and hygiene is good, everyone should be half naked anytime it is warm enough to do so. This was effing normal before the white man decided that naked bodies are a shameful thing that needs to be covered with clothing which can more accurately distinguish an individual's wealth, status. Screw that. Going to the bathhouse, I live in a country where we have these everywhere, is my favorite thing to do because we are all just actual goddamn human beings, existing together, looking the way the big man made us. No sexualization, no judgment, just being. It's great and I hate clothes. For reference, I'm a woman. On the one hand, the important and serious one, this is common sense to me. There's absolutely no reason to call a topless male acceptable and a topless female unacceptable. On the other hand, the kind of frivolous one, I was raised in a world where boobs were sexy and special, and I still think they're sexy and special. It makes me a little sad to think of a world where a topless woman is no bigger deal than a topless man.